How's everyone doing?
Good, sir. How about you?
I'm all right. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm not sure how much we can cover. There are quite a lot of things which I've written down over here. We are still not going to do the joins. But before that, let's look at quite a lot of different elements which can be there in a select statement. You remember we had looked at this first statement, fetch all data from tables. Right? So how do I write this if I want to get data from orders? What do I write?
Select star from orders.
Let's try that. Select star from orders. Okay. In Excel, if I take this data, right? If I take this data, this is how my data looks like. Now, if I tell you, you need to sort this data on customer ID, how will you do that? In Excel, how do you do this?
There's that option of sort and filter.
Huh?
So sort,
Then what do I do?
custom sort. By customer ID.
And if I want to make it the other way around, in the sense ascending or descending, what do I change over here?
Order, largest to smallest or smallest to largest.
So this is descending order. The other is ascending order. You know the meaning of ascending and descending, right?
Yeah.
Right. So I have to achieve this in SQL. So for doing so, we need to use the order by clause. In our SQL, we saw select. Along with that, we've seen a where clause. So I'm not putting the where as of now. I'm just saying, so this order by comes after the where. In the end, order by customer ID. Okay, so it has sorted the data by customer ID. And if I say DESC, it will make it descending. Make sense? Understood this? Order by. So can you try this? Orders on orders. Let's try it for all of these tables. For all of these tables that we have, we want to do an order by. We want to sort the data. So first, try it for this one. Select star from orders, order by customer ID descending. And if I want it ascending, if I don't give anything, it is by default ascending. If I want to specify it, I will say ASC. So let's try this. I want to sort this data. So select star from orders, order by customer ID ascending. If I want to do it by employee ID, I'll put employee ID over here. Like this. Try this. Just going to put it over here. You can sort it by let's say, yeah. I'm just typing these. 1 second. So returns, this doesn't make sense. For this also, it doesn't make sense. So for orders, we'll see. Let's try this. Did you try the first one? Did you guys get this? So here, right, we can even order it by order date, by the way. Did you get the first one? For all three, you got it? Anybody else got it? Hello? Is there or not there?
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah, so did you get for all of the ones? The first one, did you get for all of them?
I'm doing order details.
Okay. Details. So if you can take a second, right? If you can look at what I'm trying to do. What we had done in the earlier query when we were typing, right? We had written select star from orders and whatever we wanted to order by. Now, let's say I don't want to give this name. I don't want to give these names, but I still want to order them. So how it is done is this is the first column, this is the second column, third column, fourth column. So I can say order by one, descending. So all that information gets ordered by descending. If I give the column 2, it gets ordered by the second column. You see this order ID is getting ordered by. If I give column 3, it will order by product ID. You see this, it got ordered by, it got sorted by that product ID. If I give 4, it's going to get ordered by quantity. Does this make sense? Instead of giving the name, I can directly give the column number. The column here, alright? But if I say order detail ID, comma order ID, it won't make sense because there are only 4 columns we are fetching. I am able to do this only because I am doing order select star. So we'll come to that, but I just wanted to show this to you that instead of using the name, you can also use just the column number that you're fetching. Okay. So here, right, what we are doing order by, let's say I want to do order ID. Yeah, this is what we are doing. So it is going to order it by the order ID. But in my output, I have these 4 columns coming in, right? Because I have done select star over here. I don't want to use the entire number. Let's say that number is so big, right? Order detail ID or in terms of customers, customer name. That's such a big field for me to type. Practically or logically speaking, in this order by, instead of the field name, column name, I can also give the column number. So you see this 1, 2, 3, 4. So instead of this, I can give 2. So the output is still going to be same. So let's try with 3, that is product ID. So it is sorted by product ID. Instead of 3, I can actually give product ID itself. Make sense? Understood till here? Alright. Now the difference in when you're giving this number 3, okay, it is primarily based on what columns you have selected. If I do not select the column and I give a order by 3, it will not work. It is as good as saying I am saying that order detail ID comma order ID, and I write order by product ID. This will not work, or rather it is working over here, but over here this will not work because there is no third column selected over here. It is expecting in this select the third column, which is not there. Make sense? All right. Well, let me know if anybody has any doubts. If we are done, we are going to try the order by with the where clause. So these where clause which you see, right, which we had done earlier, let's try the order by with that where clause as well. So we'll know where do we put the order by clause. It has to come after the where. Okay. So here we again using order by only. Just that we have a where clause. Sorry, where clause. Sorry, this one. Not that one. This one. So in this case, you have a where clause. So when I am trying to get data for a city, let's say, by the way, has everybody else completed the first piece, or you guys are still working on this? Everybody completed this or still working on it? Basic order by. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yes.
I'm assuming you have completed the first part because I'm not getting a response. In the where clause, right? Yeah. So you have to write the where, then the order by. Okay? You cannot write it order by and then a where. You cannot write it this way. You get a
So,
syntax error. Yes.
so,
Yeah.
so I wanted to ask you, why do we do order by? What kind of a question will we be asked, or what do we have to do with the data that we have to sort it that ways? Can you give us an example, or maybe put it in a question form?
So you will get it. You will not use it just along with this. You will have to use it along with group by. So you will come to know that you
Okay.
want to find out. Uh, let's say you want to find out how many customers are there. Okay. Let's start with customers. I do this count star country. Yeah, and here I do order by. So I know which country has how many records. If I do order by 1 and descending, I get it like this. I am getting how many here. USA has the maximum records. Okay, 13 records are there in this table for USA. You want to find out the top one. So you will,
Discount bracket star is what? It is counting what?
I'll tell you, I'll come to that. That is the next step. But
Okay.
for now, that is the next thing which you're going to group by. Okay, it is
Okay.
aggregation of data. But you understood order by, right? You are primarily just sorting the data. The SQL can be used to create reports also. Tabular format, you want to order it by a name, age, gender. So now you saw only one level of order by. But in Excel, when I look at data, I can do sort, customer ID, I can add another level, employee ID. Yeah, I can do it this way. Let's say I do first employee ID first, and then customer ID. Yeah. So here I have sorted the data based on, so I see the report itself over here that for this employee, I have data till here. Then this employee second. So you are visually changing the representation of the data just to showcase how well it is. You can read it easily. So how do I implement this one in here, right? So you have to do order by column 1, comma column 2. When I do this, okay, let's say I do select star from customer. So I want to order by country, then city. So I will do order by country, comma city. So it will first sort it on country. Within that country, it will sort it on city. So here you can easily see for this country, in Argentina, it is only this. In Austria, you see it is ordered by these names. Brazil, these. You can see the city grouped in a way. All records of the city come together.
So I don't understand how can you sort it twice? You're already sorting it once, so everything gets rearranged. Then how can you sort it again?
Who's sorting it again? I am sorting it on two variables. How do you do sorting over here? What is the purpose of this second one?
That's what I don't understand. You've already told them to make employee ID ascending. So it's all starting from 1 and then increasing. Then again, how can you sort the customer ID?
Why? Why can't I sort the customer ID? See this. What data is coming over here? For 9. Yeah, the first row is 9. What is the first row?
So can you only sort it on employee ID and see what customer ID comes first?
No, that is because it already sorted. It won't make a difference. This data is already sorted.
Okay.
Okay. Let's first.
And now if you do
How it
customer
was.
ID ascending, then
This is how it was.
okay.
Now, if I sort it on employee ID, this is how it is. This is not sorted. Customer ID is not sorted. When I add another layer on this, that after employee ID, I want to sort it on customer ID, and I want the largest first. So I get data like this. Now I can add, you see the order customer ID like this. Now I can do it in a different way. I can do shipper ID. Okay. So I see the data for these shippers. Within this, I can sort it on a date. I sort it on the date, oldest to now the newest to oldest. So now I see for this employee, you can see for this employee, for first shipper, the records are like this. And it will not now, if there is an order on the same date, okay, if there is an order on the same date, there isn't one. I don't think there are multiple orders on the same date somehow. Yeah, here over here, right? So now if I sort this ascending, if I add another layer, okay, let's say I add another layer. One second, I want to highlight that so I can show that to you. One second. I'm going to highlight these yellow. It will be easy to find. Now, if I add another level, let me do this. And I want to add customer ID, smallest to largest.
So it
These
will
two
give
should get
36
interchanged.
first.
Yes, makes sense.
Okay. Understood.
So, kind of finding out, you're sorting the data and you're looking at the data in a specific way. So I want to do the same thing in sort. Yeah. How will I implement this? I have these 4 levels. How will I do this? I want the same output over here. This is my table, right? This is which table? Orders, right? Let's start from orders. So what is our first order by?
Employee ID.
Alright, employee ID.
Then shipper ID.
Then order date.
Order date. And customer ID.
I need to write DESC over here. And when I run this, you will notice 10394. You notice the same 3671.
Yeah.
If I remove this DESC, कुछ फर्क ही नहीं पड़ेगा. Okay, I need to. It should change. No? Weird. Oh, so sorry. I put it in the wrong place. Sorry. Yeah. So first came the 71, then 36 for this particular date. Got it? Understood this? So I can have multiple levels. Now, if I want to replace these with numbers, so what will I put for employee ID? I don't want to put the name. What will I put for employee ID? Okay, employee ID is 3. ID? Order date?
4. Hello.
4. Customer ID?
2.
So I get the same output over here. Now let's say I change it in the sense I make it as this. Now what will this order ID be? Order by, what will it be? What will the order by be?
But then what are the things to be selected? I forgot.
Sorry,
Like
I have not fired the query as yet. I have given select this. Right, I'm trying to still mimic the same thing. I'm still trying to mimic this. Right, I'm still trying to mimic this one. Employee ID, shipper ID, order date, customer ID. What will I write over here now? What will this order by be?
but can you say
You have
what
to
are the
change,
elements
no?
like
3542, the order of 3542 will change.
What will the order be? Why will it be
Will be
one?
1
Why one?
because you want to order ID is the first one, right? That's why, na?
So what are we sorting it by?
Okay. Employee ID.
Employee ID,
employed?
Okay,
shipper
okay.
ID, order date, customer ID. What will it be?
Okay, okay, okay. So it should be 3, correct? 3 is correct.
3 is what? Which column will be 3?
Employee ID is 3, right?
How is it 3?
No.
Where are you looking? You're looking here or you're looking here? I haven't fired the query as yet.
I'm looking in the result.
The result is old. I have changed the query.
Okay. So it should be 2, 2.
Then
Yeah.
what is the next one? Shipper ID. What will it be?
3,
Then order date,
4,
customer ID.
5.
I still get the same output. I can, if I now change this order ID, I put it in the end. Now what will happen? One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now order ID change to the end, move to the end. Okay, so it depends on if you're using a number, you'll have to make these changes. If we had it in this structure, okay, we had it written in this way, and I put anything anywhere. I do this, I put it over here. Do I need to change anything? Do I need to change this? Should I change anything? No, you don't need to change anything. Why? Because here you're not using numbers, you're using the field name. So whatever the column names are changing, but you're ordering by the column, the order of these columns that you're printing is changing. But the order by is not changing because you're not using numbers, you're using the column name. So now if I change this like this, even though I have changed the view, I don't need to change anything because it is still going to order it using these column names. If it were numbers, right, then I would have had to make those changes. Okay. Understood? Can you try these? I hope you understood how order by works with multiple columns. You tried with the where clause?
Am I audible?
Sorry, you're asking something I can't hear you properly.
Am I audible now?
Very low.
Hello.
Yeah, better.
Yes. Sir, there is one doubt. Can I share my screen?
Yes, please.
Sir, is it visible now?
Yeah, visible.
In this case, uh, the country doesn't get sorted in the descending manner. Only the
No,
cities.
because you're doing it the other way around. You will not find many countries in one city. You will find many cities in one country. You are trying to find out Achin is there in multiple countries.
We put descending and the country is starting from A and the city is starting from B.
Hmm.
We should start from backwards from Z, no, sir?
You haven't given country as descending, so you given city as descending. If you put country, DES space DESC, do that. Now run.
But then city is not coming into descending then.
Why is it not coming? वेनेजुएला में क्या है? S के बाद आया है.
Okay, so got it. So the city in the particular country that are getting in the descending order, right?
Yeah, you're seeing it opposite because you're not seeing it in
Yes.
order.
Yes, sir, yes. Sir. Okay, got it.
Okay, you want me to the order by with the numbers. You're saying for this one that we had used. So let's do this first. I change, I remove this and I do this. Okay. When you're using numbers, you understood the concept, right? You understood the fact that whenever you're using any numbers, you need to, the column on which you're sorting, you have to use that column as the number instead of the column name. You understood that much? Now, if I say order by to what was it? Employee ID, shipper ID, order date, customer ID. Yeah, so it would be 2, 3, 4, 5, DESC. This much you're clear that I use employee ID, shipper ID. Yes. Now, if I change this order like this, and if I before putting this order by over here, right now, if I run it, just notice this that over here. Let me take a screenshot. This is how it looks like. Okay, because of this, I am saying order by this 2. So this is my column number 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Clear? This is what I am doing, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now I change this employee ID, shipper ID, order ID, customer ID. I have changed this. Now if I take this, again if I crop it, okay, so now I still want to do the same sort, but my column numbers have changed. I have to do the same sort. Okay, by employee ID, shipper ID, order date, customer ID. This is the same thing I want to do. Okay, employee ID, shipper ID, order date, customer ID. So what are the column names over here in that case? No, I want to order it by employee ID, shipper ID, order date, customer ID. In this view, what is employee ID? Which column is employee ID? Oh, where is employee ID column number 2 over here in this? Yeah, 1. Then shipper ID. Then we want to order it by order date. What is order date column number? And customer ID? Yes. because I have changed the column names, right? I put one after. It was not the same way it was in the data. I have put it differently. So I have to put order by 1, comma 2, comma 4, comma 5 descending. And then I will get it. If I'm going to still use 2, 3, 4, 5, right? If I don't change this, I do 2, 3, 4, 5 like this. It's going to order it by shipper ID, order date, customer ID. You see, it's going to order it by shipper ID. All ones are coming. Then shipper ID, within shipper ID कहाँ गया? अरे बाबा, ये क्या हो गया? Yeah, within first it'll order by shipper ID, then by order ID, then order date and customer ID. This is not what we wanted. Yeah. So which is why we have to change the numbers 1, 2, 4, 5. 1, 2, 4, 5. Understood the difference? Alrighty. Can you quickly try these if you haven't?
Sir, can you please send a screenshot of the questions?
So I'm not sure if you heard me. By the way, probably I was speaking on mute or not. I can use a combination of the IDs and the numbers. Okay, so we had 1, 2 over here. Instead of this, I can do shipper ID. I can run this. Here instead of order ID, I can put order date rather. I can put order date over here. So I can use the combination of one and the numbers and the column numbers, column names rather, column number and column name. That is what we are primarily using. Did you get order by? Let me know once you're done or if you're facing any issues. Were you guys able to complete this? Alright, should I move on? Okay, thank you so much. So now, where were we? We're going to be looking at group by. Okay, but before group by, let's just look at something called as distinct. Okay, so I'm going to move this over here. Let's first do distinct, then we'll do the others. When I say distinct, right, it takes, you get unique records. Distinct is like a function, by the way. If I want to find out, let's say I have select star from orders. And I want to find out what are the unique employee IDs. You see this, you have so many records. Okay. Out of these records, which are the unique values? In Excel, right? If I have this data and if I do a pivot table over here, I have this employee ID. I put it in rows, so I get these unique values. I want a list of these unique numbers. I want which are the unique employees in this particular table. So what I have to do is I have to write here distinct employee ID. And when I run this, I get this. But now if I want to sort this, right, I'll do order by 1. Or I can just say employee ID. Understood? I am taking a distinct of a specific column. Distinct employee ID. In that same way, so let's say I write this over here. This is in orders. In the same way, I can do it for order date, or for the matter customer ID. In customers, right? In customers, I can do a unique for country. What are the unique countries? Or for that matter, the city. Then in order details, again in order details, I can do unique product ID. Yeah, order details, I can do unique product ID. This do quite a lot of stuff. Here I have my table orders. So in my table orders, I can do distinct for discount. I can find out what are the distinct, quite a lot of stuff, right? I can do discount, I can do order priority, ship mode, customer segment. All of these I can find out unique. So if I want to do this over here, right, I'll do distinct. Let's say I say product category. Okay, let's say I say which is product category. So here I need to use the backward code rather. Yeah, so I have these three categories over here. I can even find out the unique customer names if I want to. Like this. There are so many customer names over here. So if I do distinct customer name, I'll get that. Customer segment, I'll get. Region, I'll get. State or province. I want to find out unique values of each of these. I can get that. So can you try this? Understood, right? How to use distinct? I've done distinct and the column name. So try those. Try these. Any doubts, folks? Anybody facing any issues? Did you get the output for all of them? Are you still trying? Right, everybody got the output. Do you want me to take up something specific? Okay. Let's look at a very key concept wherein I want to find out, in Excel, when I have this data like this, okay, if I drag employee IDs over here, I get a number over here. And in this value settings, I have this option count, average, min, max. I have all this information. let's say I want to find this information. I have got the employee ID. Okay, and we had looked at, where is it gone? It's in orders, right? So I have this data in orders, and for a particular employee, or rather, how many records are there for a specific employee. So if I say employee ID, comma, count, this will ideally not run this way. Okay, it's gave me only one record, but there are more than one employee IDs over here. So what I need to do is I need to use a group by employee ID. When I do it this way, group by employee ID, I am getting an output like this. Okay, I am getting an output like this. For one employee, that is for employee ID 1, I am getting 29 records. For employee ID 2, I am getting 20 records. 330 records, 440 records. Like this, I am getting those records. Okay. And again, I can sort this also. I can say order by 2. I can put a, now in this case, normally you put a where clause. Yeah. You have all this. Uh, you can put a where clause over here if you want to, where. If I look at this, by the way, one second.
Sir, where clause will come for group by only?
No, it will come for any. You can do it without the group where clause also. That is not a problem.
No, no, no. I'm asking like in order by, it comes at end,
Hmm.
right? And where comes before order by. So in group by
Yes.
also,
Yes.
hello.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so in group by also, where will come before that only?
Yes. The structure is this way. Select this from the table where group by order by. Okay. So let's just confirm it. I was just saying this where. So I can say where shipper ID is equal to 1. Where shipper ID equal to 1. See, for shipper ID 1, each employee, how many records are there? If I say order by 1, first employee has 8 records like this. Understood? How group by is supposed to be used? Group by is for this function. Instead of this count, right? I can even put, so here I'm getting the total records. Okay. I can say max of order date. Let's say I say max of order date. So I am getting what is the maximum order date for each employee. If I say instead of max, I can say minimum. So I'm finding out the minimum order date, the maximum order date for a particular employee. But before we get into max and min, so these functions work with this group by only. Without this group by, though I'm getting only one record over here, ideally your group by should be there. In this you're getting only one record, but that is not how it normally would function. Okay, so let's try group by and count. We tried this employee ID and we're finding count. The star, it made it a star only. Wow, that's so cool. This we're going to do. Yeah, right, we can do by shipper ID also. Yes. What we are counting over here, when I look at this data, when I do shipper ID 1, group by is doing this aggregation. What you see over here, right? If I add a filter over here, this filter is your where clause. Okay, this filter in Excel, what you have is like a where clause. It is summing these, it is doing this count. You want to count these records by this number, by this row ID. That is what it's doing. So if I add customer ID over here, yeah, you see for a employee ID and a customer ID, I am getting these two records. Does it make sense? This output which you get, right? You're getting an output at 8 records. Out of those 8 records, the breakup is this way. That 20, the customer ID 20 has 2 records. That is what is group by doing. It is summing at a particular, or rather grouping the data at a particular level.
So that means for employee ID, say 1, I have total 8 eight employee I don't know, 8 employee IDs which are 1. That's what it means.
There are 8 records for employee ID 1.
8 records. Yeah, yeah. For employee ID 1.
Yes.
And if we group by some other parameter, then
So what do you want to group by?
here you put shipper ID 1, but if we change the where and we group it by shipper ID, then
So we can do that. So let's say I do shipper ID and shipper ID over here. Yeah, so it, initially this is doing group by, right? So first of all, I need to remove the filter, I think. Yeah, so this is what you'll get over here. So if I want to do the same thing over here, so I'll do shipper ID. ऐसा क्यों आ रहा है? There's some jhole in the data, I think. Okay, so grouping by employee ID. Sorry. Now I'm getting it correctly. So this is the same thing that you're doing in a pivot table, right? This is the same thing that you're doing in a pivot table that you can do in a SQL statement by using group by. Understood? So all these functions that you see over here, right, in Excel over here, count, sum, minimum, all those kind of stuff, you can do over here. Okay. Let's try this. The same thing, instead of distinct, we have to use count. Priority, ship mode, customer segment. Let's even do customer name, by the way. try this, and then we can look at one more. We look at a function. We'll go through this next time. We look at one small function, and then we'll close. So complete this group by. Let me know if anybody has any doubts. Did you guys get that? Any doubts? Still trying? So can I show one small function and then we can close for the day? Right there. All right. So in Excel there is a function called substring. You know that function? There is a function called mid rather. Mid. Yeah. So here I can find out the first character, the second character, or the first two characters. Have you ever tried this function? Structure is of this particular function, by the way, it's like this. The first variable is an input string, second is the starting number and the number of characters. In the same way, I have a function over here as well. Now let's say I want to find out all the customers whose name starts with B. Okay, I want to find out all customers whose name starts with B. So I'm going to write a where. I'm going to write substring. I think there is a mid also. Now let's try with substring. Substring customer name 1 comma 1 is equal to B. So I'm getting all records with customer name starting with B. I am using this substring, which is a function. I can do the same for address.
Yeah, but why did you use 1 comma 1?
First character. I'm using this. I can use like also. We'll see like later. There is a variable called like, like over here. So in that case, where I can say address, I don't know if we had seen that. We had probably seen that. Did we see this? This is giving me the same output, by the way. Okay, like where address like this or address like A. So all addresses starting with A, or I can just say substring of 1 comma 1 equal to A. I'll get the same output. Does it make sense? Got the idea? This is one function. There are quite a lot of functions we'll look at next time. There is stream mid. So mid is also there. This it will give the same thing. So here mid doesn't work probably. Let's try over here. So I say customer name where mid of yeah, so I'm getting all rows for which the customer name starts with A. The same thing, right? I can write over here can write using like. Customer name, instead of equal to, I can use like. It starts with an A. I will get the same output. See, 141 rows, 141 rows. Either using like or that substring function. Make sense? Just look at the duration it took. When I ran the first one, it took 0 seconds, literally no time. Here it took some time. Because I am using a like, it takes a longer time. Got the idea? So I'll update this Excel and share it with all of you. And you'll be able to try some of the other stuff as well. Alright, folks. Basically, these functions are internal to SQL. Whatever you can write in Excel, quite a lot of functions you will find over there and quite a lot more. So if you want to find out more, right, if you go to help and if you say workbench documentation, click on this workbench documentation, it's going to open a page. In that page, you will find quite a lot of stuff over here. Okay. There is quite a lot of information. So here, if I say functions, where is it? Workbench manual, sorry. Okay, we don't need to go to workbench manual, you need to go to index. Yeah, help index, not the workbench manual. In this help index, you'll get a lot of information, functions. So you'll get this list of quite a lot of functions over here. Okay. But we'll look at all of them next time.
Sir, can you send the Excel file?
Yeah, I will send the Excel. I will send it in some time. I want to update this and I will send it. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Any questions, doubts? Do let me know.